And welcome back. On Tuesday, January 18th, the Montgomery County Council will once again meet to decide what action, if any, it can take that will help to reduce the transmission of the Omicron COVID virus. One idea that has been proposed two times earlier by the council is a vaccine passport for certain indoor activities like health clubs, bars, and restaurants. Now, the two times before it was not passed. This is the third time. And proponents say that this is the only way to stop the spread. Opponents, however, say that it's a violation of one's civil liberties. The passports in itself are ineffective because everyone is getting COVID now. Who knows who's got it? And maybe it might even be racist because minorities, people of color, aren't able to get the vaccine. So, Laurie, the road to heaven is paved with good intentions. Is this vaccine passport, similar to the one going into effect in the District of Columbia tomorrow, something that the county should adopt?
Why does it have to come through the third time? Like, it seems like the more time passes, the more there's proof that it should not be something that we should do. And plus, we are 95% of Montgomery County residents have had the first dose already, and 84.5% have had are fully vaccinated. 45% have had the booster. So most of us, by far, in more than any of the other areas of the country, are vaccinated. So then you're doing this for just a tiny percentage of people who come to a restaurant, and you're making the restaurants go through a big rigmarole of checking IDs, and it's going to be so complicated, and there's going to be people upset. Patrons are going to be upset if they're turned away, and we don't need to do that to our restaurant owners. We really need to think of how is this affecting businesses when we're trying to grow businesses. It's unconstitutional. That's really the number one reason we shouldn't be doing this. It's unconstitutional. And I think that if they do pass this, this passport mandate, I think that we will see over time, very soon, that it's unconstitutional. It'll be determined that way. And our legislators, or our county councilmen who are voting for this, are going to really be on the wrong side of history, and it's not going to look good for them. So I really think that they should just not bother with this, and we could almost be over with this pandemic, moving to an endemic at this point. So
Mike, the one oddity here is last week.
There's only one.
Well, the only one that I'm bringing up. How's that? Is the CDC even acknowledged this past week that vaccinated people are able to spread COVID just like unvaccinated people. And particularly when it comes to the Omicron variant, which is highly contagious and easily spread. So just from the fact that it might be ineffective, is this a good idea to have these vaccine passports?
I don't think so. I mean, I think it just creates a level of frustration amongst everyone, as Laurie's indicating, whether it's the proprietor that has to try and figure out how to implement it and manage it, to the county that's got to try and oversee it. And again, so this is something that was proposed by the executive. This wasn't something the council came up with. This was something the executive put forward again, which I think is fascinating, given the fact that here's also the same executive that is struggling with trying to figure out how to make sure that county employees actually get vaccinated and making sure that we actually have people showing up to work. And so to me, the bigger issue is how do we address that and not spend as much time on the vaccine passport, because clearly this is something that, as we were talking about before the show began, we're getting to a point where this is becoming, we hope, more towards an endemic, where it's becoming clear that yes, it can be transported. But if you are vaccinated, then you'll get sick, but nowhere near the level that we're seeing a year ago, unless you don't have a vaccination. So let's make sure that people are getting vaccinated. Let's make sure we're focusing on that, recognizing that it is highly transmissible and people are going to get it. So how do we make sure that we mitigate against the fact that people are getting it and make sure that we can get healthy outcomes from that, as opposed to spending a lot of time focusing about whether or not people have the right card?
Well, the irony here, of course, is that the executive is not only vaccinated, but double boosted. And what I heard was that he was almost in self-quarantine before he got COVID. So, the fact is, COVID is all around us. It's not going to go away whether we have a piece of paper around our neck saying we've been vaccinated or not. And I think this is just bad public policy unless the council wants to feel like they're doing something. You know,
Well, and I don't know if the
because
council wants to
DC
feel.
did it. We've
Yeah, I
got
don't know
to
if
do
the
it.
council wants to feel like they're doing something. I think the executive felt like he needed to send something over again, and I just don't understand why. I mean, the other piece is that clearly, if you're not vaccinated, you're the people that are having the most difficult health challenges. And so it's very clear that if you're vaccinated, you can still get it, but you can actually manage through it okay. If you're not, you're probably going to get really sick and you run the risk of ending up in the hospital and having worse outcomes. And so let's focus on making sure that we get people vaccinated.
Well,
And it totally ignores the science that natural immunity occurs when you have had the virus. So that is just totally ignored. And they say, oh, we are following the science, but they are not following the science. So frustrating. And I think we're going to look back in the and say, hey, many of the policies that have happened across the world have been wrong for everyone. And hopefully we'll learn.
Challenging though. I know that they've been wrong. I think it's been evolutionary. We're in our fourth variant of this. It's evolved. We've evolved. How do you do this? We haven't had a pandemic in 100 years. I think we've learned a lot. And I think there are those who want to continue to point back and go, well, 18 months ago, you said this. Well, 18 months ago, we had a lot less information than we did 18 months later. And so I think the notion of being able to learn and evolve makes a whole lot of sense. But I think this policy goes back to where we were 12, 14 months ago. And I just don't see what benefit it provides.
well, I'm glad we're in agreement for once. What a surprise. Stop the presses. Alert Bethesda beat. We're all in agreement for.
Well, and if you look at the comments section on Bethesda Beat, you can see that most people do not approve of this mandate that they're trying to do. So I just hope that the county council will listen and actually do the right thing.
You know, I mean, there's some dopey ideas coming out of the county council. Craig Rice introduced a bill this week that would require restaurants to provide healthy choice for children's meals if they provide a children's meal. And I'm thinking, let the parents figure out what they want to buy their kid. Don't put the burden on the restaurants. But that's a topic for another show, not today. So when we come back, stay tuned for Parting Shots.